Welcome to My Empower Project with your host, Erin. We will discuss nutrition, fitness, becoming your own boss, and just becoming better every day. I invite you to join My Empower Project as we embark, embrace, encompass, and enlighten.
Kevin Isaac is the owner of K-High Holistics, where he provides services in healing and optimization. I'm going to be learning here with you today, so let's get to it. Kevin, welcome.
Thank you for having me.
To my listeners, have you heard of H.O.T? Hot? Because I have not, and we'll get into that in a couple minutes. But before we dive in, Kevin, can you share your background and how you began your current career?
Absolutely. It started in high school when I was 18. It's a high performance athlete. So I was playing football, wrestling, running track, baseball. It was effortless for me to be a high performance athlete, and I really enjoyed it. One year, my mother, she went to Kuwait in Afghanistan. She was in the military. She gave me a book before she left, and this book was The Secret. Most people know the book. It wasn't until like a couple of years later that I had started reading the book. The intention behind reading the book was how can I optimize my performance as an athlete, because I wanted to go to college. I wanted to have a scholarship. I wanted to become a professional athlete. And so the book had really opened up a massive path for me to follow for optimization. It all started with mentality, the way that I think about myself and my performance and visualization, etc. So I started when I was 18. And then when I felt really aligned on the mental aspect, it came to a point where it's like, how can I eat properly? What's the proper nutrition for an athlete? So I started to explore the realms of nutrition and detoxing. And then it just so happened that I was one of the top athletes in the state of Iowa my senior year. I was the 19th fastest high schooler in 2010. And that's pretty fast. The whole drive of a high performance athlete is what really brought me to where I am now. If it wasn't for athleticism and that book, really, I wouldn't be here today. Since then, in the past 10 years, I've worked with various professionals in the realms of chiropractics, acupuncture, energy healing, nutrition, detox, massage therapy, active release therapy, neuromuscular release, sound healing, Reiki, yoga therapy, neurolinguistic programming. And it dawned on me about 3.5 years ago. It's like, okay, I've gone through a lot of training. I've worked with a lot of professionals. I'm offering a lot of different types of services. And I was like, why don't I just put it all into one system? And we call it MEP. I didn't know at the time what it was. And so H.O.T was born.
Is that the main service that you provide? Tell me more about the H.O.T.
I call it the experience. The experience is the main service that I offer, and it has 3 categories, which is human optimization technique, colon optimization technique, detox nutrition optimization. So human optimization is fascinating. When I started to put all of the systems together into one, at the time, 3.5 years ago, it was about 6 hours, and it was split into 2 days. So about three hours each day. I treated probably 1,000 bodies to start with. And then through those 1,000 bodies, there's just these downloads that came to me of how can I restructure what I have learned to create new techniques and also new ways of applying the techniques that I have learned to the human physiology. H.O.T, as it is now, was born through just a process of allowing these so-called downloads of information just to come through me while I was in treatment. I wasn't necessarily always seeking new ways to do it. It's like, oh, whoa, let's boom, 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 that happened. And a new way of providing the technique, applying the technique was discovered. H.O.T, as it is now, is an 8 to 10 hour experience that's split into 2 back-to-back days. It's about 4 to 5 hours each day where we're going through a series of processes. It includes, when you first walk in, we're going to do neurolinguistic programming, and then we get into some vibration therapy, and we do Wim Hof breathing, and then we get into an ice bath. It's 32 degrees. So you're in the ice.
there a
It's
certain
freezing cold.
philosophy that you utilize in your day-to-day therapies?
Absolutely. So there's two philosophies that I'm working with. The main philosophy that I'm working with is that the body's designed to heal itself. It doesn't matter what the ailment is. If you're ailed, your body and your mind is designed to resolve that ailment, is designed to remedy it on its own, without anything bringing that about. That's the first philosophy. And inside of that, the faculty that's responsible for all of this healing is the electric intelligence of the nervous system. So have you ever had your funny bone before, Erin?
Yes.
So you know that big shock that you get down your arm?
Yes.
That shock, that electricity, that is the healing faculty of your body. I call it the electric intelligence. It's responsible for all healing. It doesn't matter how healing happens, whether you've achieved healing through Western, Eastern, or holistic methods, it is all due to the activation and the optimization of that electric intelligence. That is it. As simple as that. The second philosophy that I'm working with is that there are 3 roots to every ailment. And these 3 roots are hindering the activation and the optimization of that electric intelligence. So when we address the 3 roots, the electric intelligence is activated and optimized instantaneously. The first root is very simple. It's just memory. Your body records everything. Every blink, every thought, every feeling, every movement of your body and your mind and your emotions is recorded and stored inside of your body. It's the overaccumulation of neurochemistry. You could think of it as memory and trauma inside of the body. That's the first root. The second root is even more simple. It's an overaccumulation of fecal matter, toxins, gas, acids, and most of all, mucoid plaque inside of the colon. It's inhibiting the optimal functionality of this electric intelligence that's within the nervous system. The third is even more simple. Toxin accumulation. It's everywhere, super quick. And these numbers I'm about to share with you are just arbitrary. They don't mean anything. But let's say the body is designed to detox itself, right? But it can only detox itself of, like, let's say 500 toxins a day. But we're taking 10,000 in. You know, that's only 5% that your body's detoxing itself. And that's happening to every human on the planet, unfortunately. As much detoxing as the body's designed to do, it doesn't do enough because there's so many toxins in the environment. Too much toxicity, not enough nutrients. Those are the 3 roots. Overaccumulation of neurochemistry, overaccumulation of impaction in the colon, and too much toxicity and not enough nutrition.
Just to make sure I'm understanding this right, your beliefs are that the body has the ability within it to heal itself, and that, is this right, you kind of trigger the trouble points to get the body to flow and release the toxins that are built up?
Yes. So the service that I offer is addressing these 3 roots. And through the application of the services, it is allowing the body to resolve those root issues. The resolve of the root issues is allowing the nervous system and the electric intelligence to become activated and optimized to a degree that the people that I'm working with are experiencing instantaneous results. Instantaneous results such as elimination of pain, complete restructuring of their entire physical body, allowing themselves to, they're literally getting taller, their arms are getting longer, scoliosis is being resolved within minutes.
So people come to you with a lot of pain. Is that your typical first consultation with your patient, is about their pain and their symptoms?
So about 50% of the people I work with do have physical pain. The other 50% are individuals who are seeking just optimization through athletic performance, or life coaches that are wanting to be the most optimal humans possible for their clients. So you don't have to be in pain to come for treatment. Even if you're not in pain, you're going to experience massive benefits. So I work with athletes, I work with bodybuilders. These bodybuilders are literally able to lift more weight without exercising.
I know a lot of people get benefits from optimizing their body, whether they're in pain or not. Is this something similar to the ART method or fascial release or soft tissue work?
So you could think of H.O.T. ART is a part of it, a small portion of it. Myofascial release is a byproduct of the application of the H.O.T technique. So the syntax, the languaging of what this looks like is only partially created at the moment because this is so new. There's nobody else out there that is quite doing this before. So there are aspects of it that do look like active release technique. There are aspects of it that do look like myofascial release, and those are just small portions of it, maybe 10 to 15%. The other 85% is something that you'll never experience anywhere else. I've worked with body workers that have trained in every single thing you can think of, from rolfing to myofascial release to active release therapy. They've trained in everything, and yet they're like, I didn't know the body could do this. I didn't know you could have this experience. And so what that looks like, the best that I can describe it is that I am literally strumming and plucking the nervous system alongside of all of the systems of the physiology. So that's the muscle tissues, the ligaments, the joints, the cardiovascular, the respiratory, the lymphatic system, the adrenal system, the glandular system.
That's what I was going to ask you. Is it like a lymphatic drainage massage? Is that part of this?
That is definitely an aspect of it. Absolutely. So here's the thing, is that you got to go to a specialist that specializes in lymphatic drainage. You got to go to a chiropractor to work on your bones or to do active release technique. And you've got to go to a special place that has vibration therapy. And you got to go to a special person that does sound healing. And you got to go to a special place that has an ice bath. And you got to go to a special place that does acupuncture and biomagnetic cupping. And you got to go to a special someone that does neurolinguistic programming. I'm literally doing all of those things in one treatment, but with the added application of this new system that nobody knows about.
So you combined a lot of the different healing methods into one, but you do like a 2-day session with the customer.
It's a 2-day session, but inside of those 2 days, I'm strumming and plucking the nervous system while I'm doing these other methods. And that's what's really bringing out the results, is the compilation of all of these amazing techniques with this added new technology of applying certain pressures and certain plucking motions and certain strumming motions to the nervous system. So I'm utilizing a process called neural mapping. Neural mapping is the process where we can actually locate the major nerve routes, the major and the minor nerve routes throughout your body, and where can I have direct access to them with my fingers.
Now, as word's getting out about you helping people, do you see this as an up-and-coming thing? Where do you see in 5 years or so your services?
The next 5 to 10 years, this is going to be like McDonald's. You know, McDonald's is like everywhere.
Yeah.
This is going to be just like that, because it's so effective that the chiropractic isn't necessary anymore. Acupuncture isn't necessary anymore. You can literally go to one place to have all of your requirements met. This experience is a one-stop shop.
Now, do people come back for maintenance, or how long do they feel the relief for?
Once the neurochemist, so let's say you're 30 years old and you've never had this experience before. That means that you've got 30 years of neurochemistry inside of your body. When you come for treatment, we're draining out that 30 years of neurochemistry. That neurochemistry will never be present anymore. So at the time of you first coming for treatment, whatever your ailments are, it's due to that 30 years of neurochemistry, that 30 years of impaction inside of your colon, that 30-year deficit of nutrients and toxicity inside of your body. We address all three of those ailments are gone because the roots have been resolved. So people come back for treatment to optimize themselves, to literally get stronger, to be able to be more agile, to be able to stay flexible, to increase their intellectual and emotional IQ. The plateau of human optimization is limitless. And I'm saying that with this experience, we can go through those limits. We can explore how far the human mind and body can actually go. So a question that I asked recently on social media was, Is someone ever going to break the 100-meter dash world record, which is like, what, 9.6 seconds in a 100-meter dash? That's flipping fast, right? So my theory is that if I treated someone that thinks they can go faster, they will be able to go, let's say, even 8.5 seconds in a 100-meter dash. And then will someone be able to break that? What are the bounds of humans, their minds and their body? Can these bounds be broken? With this experience, with this technology that I've created, it is possible. I'm literally seeing bodybuilders go from being able to bench press 300 pounds to 375 pounds in one day without lifting weights. They literally come for treatment, they go to the gym, they can bench press 75 pounds more.
So it's a noticeable difference right after.
Not even right after, but during. Instantaneous. Like, it takes minutes to produce these results.
I want to talk more about the C.O.T because the importance of gut health means a lot to me, and I do focus on that a lot myself. So what is your technique for that?
Absolutely. Gut health is, I mean, the Ayurvedic system was like, everything is all about your gut. However healthy your gut is, that's how healthy you're overall going to be, right?
Right.
But that's just, that for me, that is the second route. What we're doing is a rather advanced form of colon hydrotherapy. Have you ever received colon hydrotherapy before?
I'm actually getting it soon.
Okay, so how it works with a closed system is that you flood water into the colon and you wait for the pressure to rise and you wait for the colon to be filled. And at the point where the pressure is high, you're like, okay, let's release the water. And so the water just floods right back out of you. And that idea of just regular colon hydrotherapy is that you're hydrating the impaction of the fecal matter, the gas, the toxins, the acids, the mucoid plaque, so it can naturally just break up inside of you. And then instead of processing it, it just floods right out of you and through the tube. And so what we're doing with C.O.T is that I am actually using my elbow to get into the pockets of the colon to manually break up that impaction, the fecal matter, the toxins, the acids, the gas, the mucoid plaque is literally being broken up with the manual palpation of the colon with my elbow, and massive amounts of impaction is being released. So I'm working with a colon hydrotherapist. Her name is Nina. She's absolutely amazing. She's been doing colon hydrotherapy for 20 years. When I showed her how to do this and what this looks like, she's like, I've never seen releases like this before. She's saying in one treatment of C.O.T is equal to 5 to 7 regular colon hydrotherapy treatments.
So you have this right in your office?
So we actually go to a medical facility where we have everything. So it's not in my office. We travel to a different office to do it.
I'm a big advocate of colonoscopies, but if somebody doesn't get that, I do recommend getting, flushed out at least.
Absolutely. It's absolutely required. And then the biggest concern that my clients have when we first have our consultation, our qualification calls, is that, well, I've read and heard that it's not good for the bacteria inside of your colon. It's like, well, here's the thing, is that your body's created this mucoid plaque lining to prevent the absorption and utilization of that bacteria anyway. So if there's good bacteria cells in there, it's like it's not really being utilized because there's so much impaction. It's like it's just kind of floating around and they're not really doing anything. So we can actually flush that out, break up the mucoid plaque, break up that lining, open up the colon wall. And then we utilize the detox nutrition optimization, where it's including massive amounts of probiotics to replenish all of the gut bacteria.
Yeah, it regrows again. I know people say the body detoxes itself, but I like what you said earlier about it can't detox everything with the way our environment is now and what we're exposed to.
Exactly. But even the Essenes, the original Christians, they were like, suffer the gourd and flush out your colon. They would hang upside down from trees and put a gourd in their butt, and that's how they did colon hydrotherapy like 3,000 years ago.
I'm curious on your thoughts on this. Do you feel that stress affects the body physically? In other words, like emotions can actually show by way of physical symptoms?
So that's the whole idea of the first root. The first root to all ailments is that there's an overaccumulation of neurochemistry. So all this stress that you've ever experienced in your entire life, there is a neurochemical byproduct inside of your body that your body is actually holding on to. And so 100%, it's not just stress. It's every time you stub your toe, every time you walk down the street, every time you jump up and down, every time you do a push-up, your body's recording that information. And it's so simple that it's the overaccumulation. It's just like, okay, you have a glass, a 16-ounce glass. Envision the glass, and 16 ounces is being the physical body. You fill that glass up as you live. So you're 16 years old, you're a quarter way full. You're 20 years old, you're halfway full. You're 25 years old, you're like 3/4 the way full of that glass of memory. What's filling the glass is literally your entire experience as being a human. By the time you're 30 years old, there's no more space to put water. There's no more space to put memory. That's exactly how our bodies are. We are walking biological video cameras that is also storing the information that we are recording. And it's just, the memory is so full. The hard drive is so overfilled that our body starts to like, oh, I'm not working properly, malfunction, and it starts to malfunction. It's so simple, and it's such a natural biological process. And it's actually, for me, it's somewhat scary that the educational institutions are not teaching us of this basic biological function that we're designed to record every second of our life. And then our hard drive fills up. And then when our hard drive fills up, it's just like a computer. Once you got 128 gigs on your computer, there's no more room. You can't store anything else. Your computer starts to mess up. It's the exact same way with the physical body.
I was just listening to, I don't know if it was a TED Talk or a webinar, it was Joe Dispenza.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was saying how you pretty much live in the past. You live in your past reactions. Like you said,
100%.
the next time your body's going to do what it did last time, and you just have to reboot yourself, or else you're just going to live in your past experience. Just kind of similar.
It's exactly the same type of education. He is the one mainstream individual that is pushing this information. When I read his books, I was like, holy Christ, this guy knows what he's talking about. He's letting people know that, hey, your body can only contain so much memory. And then when you're full, man, you're just living in your past. You're no longer present. So what happens when I'm actually treating them, is that they feel like they're on ayahuasca. I don't give them any psychedelics, but they feel like they're tripping. They feel like they're actually able to comprehend information. One lady was literally like, I picked up a book and the words stuck inside of me. And she was so excited that she was reading a book that she was actually late to come for treatment, because she's like, oh my God, I can actually retain this information. It was absolutely fascinating that people are actually able to process their triggers, you know? So one lady, she comes in here and she gets treatment and she's like, oh my God, my husband, he's just driving me nuts, you know? And she goes home and she's like, okay, he's doing the same things that drives me nuts, but yet I'm actually able to sit with the emotion that's come up. Say, oh, wow, he's actually acting out of his own trauma. I can understand that. And now I'm not being triggered.
So I assume that my listeners are the type of people that put effort into optimizing their life, and they would understand this next question that I have for you. Do you think that mind work, kind of like what we were talking about, is a serious thing to prioritize in life in general?
Mind is body and body is mind. They're the same thing, 100%.
Say someone, they read some personal development, they watch some TED Talks, they're open to new ideas. That's a first step, but how would you suggest somebody change their thoughts and try something out of the box or new to them?
Ice baths and breath work are a great place to start, but also psychedelics, utilizing plant medicines with shamans are a massive way to break through cyclic patterns of behaviors to prepare yourself for this type of work that I'm providing for people. Absolutely. So breath work, ice baths.
So meditation for a newbie, they might start with meditation and then maybe cold showers. Would that be enough to start?
Cold showers is a great place to start, but
okay.
It's not optimal.
Okay.
I mean, of course, you want to start somewhere for sure, because ice baths are crazy. It's going to bring up fight or flight instantaneously. So you want to prepare. So cold showers are a great place to start for sure.
I like cryotherapy, but I don't know if I could do the ice bath.
Yeah, cryotherapy only goes so far. I definitely feel ice baths are much more intense and much more beneficial than cryotherapy.
All right, so I think I understand a little bit more about the services you offer. Can you go over them again? So somebody comes in the first day, they do H.O.T day 1, C.O.T day 2?
So it's H.O.T is 2 days. So the first day we're working with the upper body. The second day we're working with the lower body. And then, so the first day after we're done with H.O.T, we drive down to the clinic and we do colon optimization technique. And so how it's mapped out, the logistics of it is that it's a 3-week experience in total, where each week we're doing 2 days of H.O.T and we're doing 1 COT treatment. And so each week we do 2 days H.O.T, 2 days H.O.T, 2 days H.O.T, and then 1 COT each week. And then for the whole 3 weeks, you're doing a detox nutrition program that's customized specifically to the customer, to the client, to the patient.
3 weeks total. And does that include supplements or you give them like a meal plan?
It's both.
Okay.
It's both. They are eating some foods, but they're limited to Dr. Sebi's food list. So anything that's on the food list that Dr. Sebi has created, that's the foods that you can eat. And then you're utilizing organic, non-GMO, vegan, all raw, never heated, fully lab tested supplements, powders, and herbs.
Dr. Sabi, that's your nutritionist?
No, Dr. Sebi is a doctor who created an entire system that has, in a court of law, in Supreme Court, has testified that he has cured over 70 different diseases with just nutrition.
So is this something that they do for the 3 weeks or they continue on with it after the detox?
So it depends on the package that you buy. I offer, different packages where you could do a total of 9 weeks, 12 weeks, you can do 3 weeks, you could do 6 weeks. So there's definitely things that, here's the thing, is that when you come in for your first treatment, you're one way. When you leave after your last treatment, you're a completely different person. So your ability and your knowledge, your intellectual ideas of how to be are completely different. So most of every single person that I work with, depending on their level of dedication, is going to be continuing some form of detox nutrition program just to keep the body detoxing, but also nourishing at the same time.
I always wrap up with the following questions. I wanted to ask if you have a morning routine.
So my morning routine is that I wake up and I drink, 16 to 32 ounces of water or juice. And then I move on into doing some Wim Hof breathing while I'm on a therapeutic vibration plate that's vibrating at 40 hertz to shake up my lymphatic system. And it's also shaking up my muscle tissues and my bones. And then after about 5 minutes of breathing and shake plates, I get into the ice for anywhere from 3 to 5 minutes. And then there I, start my day. I start taking calls. So it's very breath-based, very ice-based is basically what it is. But also sometimes, a few times a week, I'm going to do H.O.T self-application. So everything that I can do to a client, I can do to myself as well, to just keep myself in alignment, to keep myself optimized for my clients. And then inside of that, I also have some tools that I utilize, such as Theracanes. I've got a Hypervolt, that's a massage gun. And so I definitely have a morning routine. I also have a night routine where I'm doing something similar just before I go to bed.
That's funny. I have a night routine, but I never ask that. I always ask my guests about their morning routine.
You're like going into an altered state of consciousness. You're going into an alternate dimension. It's important to prepare before going into that space, I have very vivid dreams, and my dreams, will give me details of how to do new sequences. Or I have a lot of dreams of treating celebrities like Keanu Reeves and Will Smith and Chris Rock, all these guys. I have dreams about treating them, like I'm actually in treatment with them.
Manifest that into reality.
Exactly.
Where's your office located, actually?
Tustin, California. It's in Orange County. It's about 15 minutes away from John Wayne Airport.
Oh, All right, I've been there. And where can you be found online?
So my website is kiholistics.com. Holistics is spelled with a W, so it's KIWHOLISTICS.com.
Do you have Facebook or Instagram or anywhere else we should follow?
Yeah, Kevin Isaac or at Human Optimization on Instagram and Facebook.
Great, well check it out. I ended up asking Kevin a couple more questions. Keep listening if you would like to hear us chat about the carnivore diet and my first experience with sound therapy. Did I read somewhere that you did the carnivore diet?
Very good point. So last year I was diagnosed with prostate cancer, late stage 3, metastasized in my colon and my lungs. And what ended up happening was I just straight up ate a bunch of meat. It's like I'd been vegan for 7 years, and for a year and a half I had symptoms of cancer but did never really acknowledge it. And so what ended up happening is that I got diagnosed. I invested $5,000 into one of my own programs that I created for myself, and it just so happened that spirit led me to just consume flesh. And so I drank a shitload of probiotics, I ate a bunch of meat, and I ate a bunch of like kimchi and sauerkrauts and those kinds of things that were mostly all homemade, with very specific types of probiotic strains as well. So late stage 3 cancer that metastasized into 2 different organs of my body was cured in 3 weeks.
That's amazing. So tell me more. You were vegan, got diagnosed.
I was vegan.
And then once you were diagnosed, you switched to that diet. And then how often did they test you, like to know to keep doing it, or?
Every week.
Okay.
Every week I got tested, and every week. So the first week, the lung cancer was gone. The second week, the colon cancer was gone. The third week, prostate cancer completely gone.
See, I never heard of just eating the meat. The carnivore.
It's an elimination. It's technically considered an elimination diet because, unfortunately, there's all kinds of toxins in all of the vegetables because of the way our atmosphere is, and so the meats that I was eating had eaten very specific types of food. And so it was basically eliminating any types of allergies that I may have had to the pesticides or the fungicides or the insecticides that was on the food.
Did you switch over to the carnivore diet slowly, or you just?
It was overnight.
It was, and then that quickly your body reacted. And
within 24 hours, 80% of my symptoms went away of just eating meat and doing some portions of the protocol that I had created for myself.
And then after the 3 weeks and up to now, what type of diet do you follow?
A non-stressful one, as organic as possible, but I don't ever stress ever, because that was the biggest thing, is like just stress,
right?
And so through this whole process of resolving myself of this abnormal cell growth throughout the physiology, I had really discovered the new system, the new experience that I'm offering my clients now. So this whole experience that I'm offering is basically based off of the education and the wisdom that I had gained through my own abnormal cell growth reversal.
Did you refuse treatment that your doctors recommended during those 3 weeks?
I didn't have a traditional doctor or diagnosis at all. So no, not at all. I would never, ever do chemotherapy or radiation, because, 97% of the people who actually die from cancer, they're not dying from cancer, they're dying from treatment.
Have you ever heard of the Viome test?
Absolutely. Yeah.
I just had that done, and I think everybody should have it. I think it's good to know. I mean, it's still a mystery, but we're learning so much more, and there's so much more information. And it's good to at least learn what things you should maybe alter and, create change over time. So
I can definitely see benefit in utilizing that for sure. Is it required? I don't know. I've never done it myself. But here's the thing, is that your body's designed to heal itself with anything and everything. You don't necessarily have to know how that healing takes place. You don't absolutely have to know what the ailment is in order for it to heal.
Well, I'm so glad that you cured yourself. That's so amazing. My mom had colon cancer, and that is what led me on this path to just learning about prevention and how you can't just live. You have to take extra steps to keep the body in an optimal state, both physically and mentally. So that
I
is
definitely agree. However, I would also, if I may, really quick, it's also super important not to stress about these things. You know, for the past 7 years, or 8 years now, I was so anal about everything that I was consuming, what I washed my body with, what I washed my clothes with, what I washed my dishes with, the types of sheets that I slept in. You know, everything was so meticulous, and I became so stressed if something wasn't perfect that that's ultimately what led to the cancer. Now I don't stress about any of it ever. I go with the flow. It's like, oh, okay, yeah, I don't have access to that right now. That's totally fine. When I have access to it, I'll get to it, but I'm just going to keep flowing. It's like when we try to control everything in our environment, that's when we start to fuck ourselves really hard.
But yeah,
And that's ultimate.
I asked you earlier if you think stress affects the body physically, because I agree. A lot of my clients, I work a lot with nutrition and some fitness, but they kind of overthink their diet and it becomes all consuming. And I'm like, I don't think about it. This is just the way I live now, but I did it slowly and I didn't stress and then feel guilty and then mess up because you can't mess up. It's just
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. And so through the relieving of the stress itself, the body starts to become more optimized. The stress itself is eliminating the optimization of its functionality. So let go of the stress, your body will begin to function a little bit better. You'll feel better. You won't be groggy in the morning anymore. You won't need your caffeine and your coffee anymore. It's like there's so many things that you can just let go of and just be in the flow. It's like you don't have to control everything. And so that's exactly how I was. I was a control freak. And that whole system of control, which is an illusion, ultimately is one of the major factors that brought about the cancer in my body.
I recently went to sound therapy. There was zero introduction. I didn't know what to expect and I didn't like it, but I didn't understand it. So do you want to tell me a little about what sound therapy is?
What were they using, like bowls and gongs and stuff? Or
yeah, both bells, gongs, bowls. All I know is everybody was asleep and I couldn't wait to go home, but nobody explained anything. They just started.
Oh, that's really weird. Those are your first time?
Yes.
Okay, so this is what happens. So are you familiar with the character Nikola Tesla?
No.
Okay, so this is a very important historical character. Nikola Tesla is basically a founding father of the New World medicine. So what that means is that the future of all medicine is frequency and vibrationally based. So are you familiar with what frequencies and vibrations are?
I think so.
Very effortlessly explained is that our entire world is, let's say, like a fractal geometric pattern. This fractal geometric world that we live in is all frequency based. So the table that I'm sitting at, the ball that I'm sitting on, the glasses that I'm wearing, the shirt that I'm wearing, all has its very specific vibrational frequency, right? And its variance in frequency is how we are able to understand and visualize and actually tactilely feel its existence, right? So it's very similar to the color spectrum. You know, the lower the red color is a slower frequency, and the purple is like freaking fast and it's really wide, right? Same thing with the physiology. Every system, every organ of your body has a natural harmonic frequency. So for example, the bones have a natural harmonic frequency of 40 hertz. Hertz is like a wave. It's however many waves happen inside of, I think it's like a minute. The idea of sound bath or sound healing is that you're producing natural harmonics of a specific system or various systems of the physiology. And then through a process called resonance and entrainment, the body can match that natural organic frequency. So, for example, let's say someone has bone disease, right? So if the natural harmonic of the bones is 40 hertz and someone has bone disease, that means that their bones are resonating at like 38 hertz or 45 hertz. It's disharmonic, it's not in its natural flow. Does that make sense?
Yes. Sound therapy is a whole new field for me.
It's very complex, absolutely, but rather simple, because let's say, so for instance, I have the shake plate that you sit on and that you stand on, and it vibrates at 40 hertz. So that means that my body is getting the natural resonance of 40 hertz, which is where my bone's at. So when you produce and introduce 40 hertz to someone's bones that are diseased, that means that the bones themselves are actually going to entrain. They're going to meet that natural harmonic of 40 hertz. And that is how you can produce healing effects with sound.
Can it knock someone into a bad effect? Out of whack?
It can allow you. So here's the thing. Healing is intense, right? It's going to bring things up for you to address. If you don't address and acknowledge the things that require healing, how does it ever get healed? It sounds like to me, and this is, if you were a client of mine, this is what I would say. It's like, 'cause I do sound bath healing through my treatments. I don't use instruments. I use transducers on my table. So you're actually vibrating according to this music that one of my friends who's a doctor created. If someone came to me and said, hey, this sound bath actually made me feel worse, I would say, well, you're actually experiencing things that have to be resolved. It's bringing things up to the surface of your consciousness that have been unconscious that you haven't yet addressed.
All I know is I had nightmares the night after that, and I don't know.
That's brilliant. Absolutely brilliant.
Is that good or bad?
And here's the thing, is that let go of the idea of good and bad. It serves no purpose.
My friend fell asleep. Everyone was snoring. I felt like I was inside some alien sounds, and I could not wait for it to be over. I didn't know what to expect, how long it was, or what was going to happen. So I just was like very alert the whole time.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that would make sense. I mean, you should definitely call those people up and be like, hey, it'd be really good for you guys to explain what the hell is going on here.
I do encourage people to check out your website. How long have you been open?
3.5 years, officially.
Thanks for informing us here today, Kevin. Happy to have you.
Thanks for having me. I am passionate about sharing this information and this education, so I really appreciate you having me on.
Thanks again.
Thank you, Erin.
Thank you for listening. You can find every episode, including the written versions to read, on erinrowe.com. Be sure to leave a review because I love hearing your opinions on the topics I shared. Are they new? Are they helpful for you? Tap that subscribe button so you don't miss the future interviews and enlightenment to come. This episode was brought to you by me, and only me, because I love sharing new ideas with you. Take action to become better. Have a fabulous day.